Everyone loves a good cheating scandal. We have some interesting news involving the baseball world. Listen, this is Jackson Kruger Sports, not Jackson Kruger Football. Every now and then I talk about some other stuff, and I figured with the, new information-ish that has come out about the Yankees now cheating scandal, figured I'd just talk about it. And for one thing, it's worth mentioning, this is actually information that has already been publicly available, just many people, had not been aware of it themselves. A report came out today kind of really detailing what the Yankees did in 2015 and 2016. So obviously the famous cheating scandal that's happened in the past few years was the Astros cheating scandal, where if you missed this, I'll just set it up real quick. The way it typically worked was that the Astros would use a live feed of the game. They would read signals that happened, figure out what the codes were. So, for example, if one is fastball, they would find that out, and then they would usually bang on a trash can and signal that to the batter so the batter would know what pitch is coming. That's how the Astros did it. The Red Sox, who also have been caught doing this, use things a little bit differently. So they used Apple Watches, famously in 2017 and 2018 during their own cheating scandal to find signs. But what they did was when a player got to second base, then that player on second base would relay it to the hitter. As for the Yankees, their now cheating scandal is similar to the Red Sox cheating scandal. What they did, allegedly, I believe officially, but I'll still say allegedly because I don't know. But seems like reputable baseball reporters are saying it happened, so I will believe them. Where basically what happened is, so people would sit in a room and watch a feed of the game, and as the catcher would have signals, they would decode those signals. As they decoded the signals, what they would then do is they would get on the phone and call, the bullpen phone, and call the people in the dugout and let them know what the signals were. So then, once they figured out the signals, then all they would have to do is go to the hitters and tell them, hey, these are the signals. And whenever a Yankee got to second base, they would signal it to the batter, and then they would, know what pitch is coming. So not quite something you can do on every pitch like the Astros cheating scandal was, but still against the rules. You cannot use the bullpen phone to do that, and definitely by the rules cheating. So what does this mean? Well, first off, I think it's probably fair to say that this isn't as bad as the Astros or Red Sox cheating scandals, in my opinion, at least for a couple of reasons. One, the Yankees did not win a World Series using this method, so that kind of benefits them, whereas both the Astros and the Red Sox had cheating scandals in years they went on to win the World Series, so that, that alone is going to help the Yankees out a little bit. But also, this came before kind of the harsher crackdown. This is before Rob Manfred in 2017 warned the Red Sox about using technology to steal signs. Now, again, it was against the rules. It's certainly wrong, but I think that kind of helps a little bit. Whereas the Red Sox, after getting warned about they shouldn't use smartwatches, still went on to use use technology to, I believe the way I understand it is they still went on to use technology to get sign stealing even in 2018, the year they won the World Series. Obviously, the Astros in 2017 did use technology to win a World Series. So the fact that just those two teams had more success is definitely going to, it's going to help them out a lot. As in help the Yankees out a lot, as they just, no one's saying that they screwed the Dodgers out of a World Series like people are saying about the Red Sox and the Astros. Also, I believe, to my knowledge, the Red Sox have not been accused of cheating in the playoffs, although the Astros were. So, again, different layers to this, and also just when the Red Sox and Yankees could cheat, it just wasn't as, it wasn't as many situations, and it is when there's a runner on second where a lot of teams will knowingly change up their signs in that situation. So there at least is a little baseline of, something there. It's a little bit, you can prepare for it a little bit more than you could the other way around. So still not great. Worth mentioning, I guess, that so the Yankees letter, which is kind of the big thing here, that's what we're talking about, doesn't really tell us that much. Like, we already knew this happened, so it's not really, it doesn't really tell us anything particular. For example, there was no extra camera that no other team had access to. The camera they were using is the same camera that any of their opponents used. So that's definitely another important detail here. So as for the ethics of all of this, it's interesting. I don't know exactly how I would talk about this. I think at the end of the day, probably just shouldn't cheat in general, probably shouldn't be doing this, but it's worth mentioning baseball does like to turn a blind eye to this kind of stuff. Even when that happened, it really did fly under the radar. The Yankees did get fined $100,000, which isn't nothing by any means, but that's pretty much all they got. So it definitely flew under the radar then, and it's kind of similar to how the steroid scandal was handled and how we just saw the sticky stuff, sticky substances and with the baseball getting handled, where baseball kind of likes to turn a blind eye to things until they get out of control instead of just cracking down on them right when it happens. So this kind of, if baseball immediately really cracked down on the Yankees, who were the first team to be caught doing this, well, then if that was the case, maybe the Astros stopped doing it and the Red Sox stopped doing it. And we actually got to see, a Astros versus Dodgers World Series where we, didn't even have to, deal with any of the cheating scandals or anything like that. That's something that certainly could have happened. And I don't really love that baseball kind of lets this stuff get away. But as a whole, I figured, let's make a video about this, kind of explain what happened because, again, I hadn't fully looked, before reading this, I hadn't fully known all the details here. So now that I know all the details, it's interesting, and it definitely makes you wonder, okay, if 3 teams were caught doing this, how many teams just didn't get caught? That feels like something that could have happened. Maybe they were doing it on smaller scales. It also kind of goes to show, though, just how hard it is to get away with these big conspiracies, right? If you have 20 people in on something, eventually it's probably going to get out, I would assume. So, I guess at the end of the day, it's like kind of, I don't know. I do find this stuff interesting. Again, I guess like the main thing I would say is, so in 2018, there was that memo that went out to everyone. I think it's really important to bring this up just one last time. In 2018, there was that memo that was brought up to say, like, listen, for lack of better terminology, stop doing this. Like, stop using technology to steal signs. We don't want to have to suspend people. We don't want to have to fine people anymore. Just like stop doing it. We will crack down on it harder if you do this. And again, this is after the Astros and after the Yankees. So I think it's fair to say, again, the Yankees were doing it, but other teams were probably doing it. So, you can make that argument. The flip side, though, is if you make that argument about the Yankees, you kind of have to make that argument about the Astros a little bit, maybe not towards the end of the year, but at least during the beginning of the year, you have to make that argument about the Astros. I can't remember exactly when that memo went out in 2017, but, that's another interesting just aspect here. People hate the Yankees, of course, and Yankees fans have complained a lot about the Astros scandal, so it's a little bit funny that, they also partook in it a little bit, but the reality is, I think it's clearly like Astros were the worst, Red Sox were the second worst, and then Yankees were, the third worst in this scenario. Should they have done this? No, but really baseball shouldn't have put teams in positions where they feel like they have to cheat just to stand a chance. Maybe just either legalize these things or make them illegal and, punish them severely. Probably the better move. But yeah, all right, quick baseball video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.